I was doing a review today of this Delonghi Magnifica S espresso machine, and overall I like it pretty well. I wanted to demonstrate to you how it works, and so I'm just going to go ahead and power it on. You're going to hear it starting up. You're going to see a little thermometer flashing. That means that it's warming up. You're going to notice in a second that some water is going to come out here. The first time it happened, I thought something was wrong, but it does that when it starts up. It runs a little bit of water through and heats it up. So we'll see that here in a moment. Also notice that most of the controls, you've got some button controls, but there are going to be a lot of digital images there. And that's one of the things about this maker. A lot of the functions are kind of built into a menu system, and for that reason, it's not always super evident what you're doing. I don't find that it matters too much. There's the water. It doesn't matter too much when you're making coffee just day to day, but when you're initially setting it up, it makes it a little tricky. You definitely would like to have the manual on hand while you're setting the unit up. And when you set it up, you do have a lot of settings. You can adjust the temperature. In other words, do you want it to make your coffee generally really hot or sort of more mild? The maker comes with a test for the water hardness or softness of your local water, a little strip, like a litmus test looking kind of thing, and you'll figure out whether you have hard water or soft water and then adjust the machine accordingly to adjust for that. Now the machine's ready to go. And making an espresso or latte or something like that is very simple. There are a couple of things you're going to control. As you turn this knob, this will determine whether you want a small, medium, large, or very large cup of the coffee. This button here will determine, are you going to add ground coffee or are you going to add whole bean coffee? And this unit has a built-in grinder in the top. All you do is you pour the beans right in here, and this is a built-in burr grinder, which is the best kind of grinder rather than a blade system. So it's got a high-quality burr grinder up here. This little flap is if you're going to add ground coffee, you put it in right there. And this unit comes with a scoop. You use an exact measure according to the instructions. You put that right here. Otherwise, if you're using whole bean like me, you just dump the beans right in there. And so you then adjust the settings. I generally have found my favorite brew here is to make a extra large serving. I have also preset my unit to make it as hot as possible. And I like to do a whole bean setting. And the different beans, they get a little bit bigger, small, medium, large, extra large, very large, way extra large. That determines the strength of your coffee, how much coffee it uses. I also like to have the highest setting. I like it to be strong and a pretty large serving. So once I've adjusted those two things, I'm just going to put my cup there, and you can raise or lower this. If you keep it low, as the coffee comes out, it does not have as much time coming down through the air, and it will be kind of a creamier texture. And heavier. If you keep it up high, it will give you a little bit of a lighter texture. I like to lower that. And once I've set it, I'm just going to push a button that gets the whole process going. And I can adjust for either having one cup, or if I wanted to do two, you could put one on one side, one on the other. And I'm going to do that and hit 1 cup. That was the sound of the coffee being ground by the machine. This is the sound of the water going through and the coffee getting compressed and all those things that are going on inside. All of that is automated, which is nice, particularly for someone like me who is not a barista by trade. Now we're going to see the coffee is coming into the cup. And this makes really great coffee, I will say, while we're waiting here. It has a wonderful flavor. Some of that's going to be determined by the kind of coffee you're using, whether you're using beans that are made for espresso or some other beans. But I like personally to use whole bean coffee, because you just get a fresher flavor than if you're using coffee that's already been ground. But you can use ground coffee, use whatever you want to. So we see that the unit now has finished up. This is a pretty quick process. And I'm going to pull the coffee out, and probably won't be able to show you too well, but it is a very rich, and there's a little bit of froth on that. And It is delicious. Next up, I want to show you the steam wand, which is this right here. If you would like to froth some milk to add to the coffee, it's quite simple also. You're going to hit this steam button. This thermometer is going to flash here until it's ready to go. This means it's heating up and getting ready. So you have this wand, and this is the on and off button for the steam. Once it's ready to go, now the thermometer quit flashing, so it means it's ready to go. I'm going to put my cup with some milk here and turn this on. And you're going to hear the steam wand kicking in. And we're just going to run that through there for a little bit. What I like about this is it's kind of idiot-proof, kind of foolproof. You will get good results whether or not you've ever done this kind of thing before. I'm no expert, but I'm just going to froth my milk, put some steam in there, and you can do it as much as you like. The longer you go, the frothier it's going to be. Then I'm going to turn it off. Once I've turned it off, I will then take my frothed milk and pour that onto my coffee. And voila, I have now not just a straight shot of espresso, but we've got the combination of the milk and the coffee, and it is delicious. So some things about this that I want to talk about, things I like about it. It's easy. You've seen how easy it is. Set the strength of your coffee and the size of the serving, and tell it to go, and it goes. I like the flexibility of the system. You do, within the menu of the system, set temperature, how hard or soft is your water, I've mentioned. Flexibility of the size and the strength in the ground coffee or the whole bean coffee. There's a whole lot of flexibility to get good results, and the results are fantastic. The coffee tastes really good. It does a good job. Had another sip and it tastes wonderful. It does a good job of making a very rich, delicious cup of coffee, kind of similar to what you might get at a higher-end coffee shop. The results are really good, and that's probably the main thing. It is quite easy to operate, not just making the coffee, but also getting the steamed milk. This having a burr grinder, which is a really good grinder going on back here, is wonderful. And you can, I forgot to mention, adjust the coarseness of the grind with a little dial. You probably can't see it, but right at the top of that hopper there where you put the beans or the grounds. But you get really fresh coffee since it's grinding it for you with a really high quality grinder right there. Some of the negatives, I'll say, which are kind of minimal. One is the interface here, the system where you're using it. It's not always evident what you're going to be doing with these different buttons. That is not really a problem when you're making coffee day to day, as I've said, but when you're setting it up. And you just probably want to keep your instruction manual on hand until you get pretty familiar with it. It is ultimately very simple to operate, but this menu with a few buttons, but multiple things that can go on there is not always super user-friendly. This, another potential you might think of as a con, this requires more work than using a K-cup maker like my one over here, or just brewing a pot of coffee. I think it's worth it, and certainly for special occasions. I don't do this every day, but I'll do it on weekends when I've got time, if you have friends over and things. There is just a little more work involved, a little bit more cleanup involved. What I'll do now is I'll need to come over here and wipe off the wand. This tray right here lifts off, and any water, excess water, goes right into this tray, and it's very simple to clean it up. You just pull it out. In addition, the coffee, once it has been brewed, the grinds are deposited right into a little box here. So it's pretty simple to clean up, but there is a little bit of cleanup involved. It's not really probably any more than with making regular coffee. Perhaps the biggest knock that I will make, and I don't know that it's a huge one, is that there's a lot of plastic in this unit. Really, there's not much metal, and the retail right now is about $1,000. I was kind of surprised that there wasn't. I mean, this plate is metal. I'm pretty sure this plate up on the top, there's a silver plate right here where you can rest your coffees and kind of keep them warm, is metal. But everything else, the sides, the front, the base, the construction of the whole unit, it's all plastic. And I was kind of surprised by that because of the high price. But I do realize, of course, that other espresso machines are much more expensive than this one. This is certainly not the top end. but I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more metal. But overall, I really like this device, this unit, and I'm not an expert, as I mentioned. I'm just a regular coffee fan. I drink coffee every day, but if I can do it, you can. So I wouldn't let the learning curve throw you if you are interested in this, but bottom line, it makes really delicious results, and you'll have fun experimenting with different lattes and macchiatos and espressos and different things, and determining what you like and what kind of coffee. And overall, I have been really pleased with the results and like it. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to post them, and I'll try to get back with you. And have a great day. Enjoy some coffee.